Welcome to the Myrita Minutes. This is Myrita, and today we're going to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is the reunion, part one. Before I get started, I just wanted to make it known that everything on my channel is alleged and, in my opinion, and done for entertainment purposes only. Let's get started. As you can see, my first clip here, this is what I really think this episode should have been called. Shots fired. I mean, they came in hot. Everybody came in hot, especially Tisha. Now, I don't know who put the battery in her back, but she was here for it, and so am I. Okay, so the all of the reunion shows, they start off with showing everybody arriving, to and going into their respective rooms. And Melody arrives first, and she's sized because her name is on the door. Okay, she's a piece of paper. Melody Rogers. She said, "Yeah, they got that right." She said, "We're starting off good." And then they move on to, I want to say, um, was it Kimmy? Kimmy came in, and then they show the Scotts brothers coming in, and then everybody's on their way in the door. But what really had me, there we go. My thing was being slow. Kiki, this is the funny part. Did they put him in a closet? It says sprinkler valve room, and this is the alarm panel inside. Did they put Martell in the utility closet? Y'all. Oh, that was funny. Then had to know to be locked. That's what he get. Smart cell. So then they show Carlos going around talking to everybody. I think this was when he went to visit Mel. And he asked her, was she gonna talk this time? Because last season reunion she didn't. And her thing was, yeah, let's talk. But that's when the shots fired thing came up. But he was throwing a lot of shade too this episode. And then he stops by, he stops by everybody. But then when he gets to Tisha and Marcel, I guess they were doing a TikTok or something, because I saw a phone up. But anyway, they came in with these boxer robes on, like they came to, beat people down, not get beat down, but beat people down, like the champ said. Do they think that they're the stars? They really came in and acted like they was the stars. Even when you went to and looked on their door when they arrived, they had a big poster of them on their door. Everybody else had like a little teeny sheet with their name on it, which is what they probably had too. But their team must have came in and put that big poster on the door, like they the stars of the show. I don't think so. Get over yourselves, y'all. So he finished interviewing everyone, and then he goes back into the I guess the showroom or the stage. Anywho, he's introducing everybody one by one. And this is when we get to see everybody's fashions. Now, I don't recall seeing everybody's fashions when they initially hit the blocks. I remember seeing Mark Melodies, and I remember seeing Tisha's, but I don't remember if I didn't see Kimmy's, but I don't know if I like Kimmy's. Kimmy came out in this little pink number, and her sleeves were feathers. I don't know if I like the dress. I did like how it was cut in the back, because it kind of showed off her tattoo and stuff like that. But I wasn't feeling this, and it had a mermaid bottom. I guess it was okay for Kimmy, but she liked it. I love it. And then here's Tisha with her I Dream a Genie dress on. I mean, it was just doing a lot. She had rhinestones. She had a bustier. She had a corset. She had a big slit. I mean, it was just doing a lot. And then her shoes, for her build, she should have had a thinner strap. My personal opinion, because her shoes like overpowered her ankle, because it didn't elongate her, made her look blocky and stocky. And she's already short. You know what I mean? I know, because I'm a short person, so I get it. So, anywho, then they had Courtney and her man. I'm sorry. Oops. I always call Stormy Courtney because to me, Courtney is a girl's name too. So Stormy and her man, Courtney Beasley. Courtney Beasley, they come out in their pink ensemble. And I don't know. I liked Stormy's dress, but I just think she was too top heavy for it, my opinion. And um Courtney, I didn't like his satin suit. Looked like satin pajamas from the back. But anyway. Then you have Martell. He can wear a suit. I have to give it to him. That's about the only thing, though. He can wear a suit and it looks good on him. I like the way he gets his clothes tailored to him. I don't know about this sash going across. It kind of reminds me of a pageant person, when they're in the pageants, Miss America and all that kind of stuff. That's what it kind of reminded me of, but I don't know. What's the name like that? Carlos like that. And they almost had the same color on. Just about. But yeah, this is okay, I guess. This looked like a Martell suit. But my girl shut it down. And yes, this was giving Renaissance. It was giving Renaissance, and I have to give it to her. I love the thigh-high boots. I like the fringes. She brought it. Yes, Melanie brought it. So to me, she was the best dressed out of the ladies. Martell was the best dressed out of the guys, if I had to pick out of the guys. You know, uh Marceau and Maurice really don't. They just like get nice suits or whatever, but they don't really get anything that's really flashy or whatever. That's just not their stilo. And so they're all sitting on the stage, and they talk about that they think that they would ever make it to the fourth reunion. And Kimmy's like, yeah, after we got past the first one, I figured we would be at the fourth one. But for me, I thought they had more than just four. I thought they only really ducked out of one. And that was after that big brawl at the Madani store. I think, wasn't that last year? Um, right? I can't remember because they seem like they tape all year long. But I want to say that was last year. And they didn't have a reunion for that season only because Carlos dismissed them and said, y'all go ahead or whatever. And then they came back, with other episodes. But anywho, they're on their fourth reunion, even though it's season 6. So I don't know where they must have ducked out of 2 different reunions. I don't know. So Carlos asked Melody, you started out this journey as a Holt. Now you are a Rogers. How does that make you feel? And, she's like, it makes me feel light. It makes me feel free. It makes me feel, her thing is she has a very good vibe, and I loved her energy. I loved her energy this episode. Because her thing is she's like getting rid of everything that reminds her of her past when she was a Holt. Only thing she's got are her kids, and she would never trade them, I'm sure, for anything. Especially that little sugar mama and boss baby. Well, none of them really, but those two have such big personalities. So as she's talking about how she feels, I see Maurice kind of lean over and kind of like, I think he hits Kimmy in her back as Mel is talking. Not about what Mel is saying, but he's getting ready to mess with Martell. And he shoots Martell a look, right? Of course, Melanie don't see him. She can only see what's in front of her because she's looking that way. So Martell shoots him a look back, but she sees him doing this. And said, yeah, I see you already making faces, Martell. And so Maurice pipes up and says, yeah, you caught that, didn't you, Mel? I wanted to say, you started it. And Martell is not that bright because he fell right for it. Anywho, so I want to say that Carlos asked these two what they think about Marceau being a power couple. And before she could get anything in edgewise, Tisha goes in. and starts going off and talking about, she people that have feel some way about you or have negative, all they say is negative things. They're not going to say anything positive. And then she goes into, get your TikTok money paid in people in Huntsville. And, and so of course Carlos picks up on the fact that she owes invoices or whatever. And she says she doesn't pay her invoices. Carlos says that she should. She says no. She said people have called me up talking about, yeah, you're not the only one she owes money to. She owes us and blah 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 blah. And she goes in on Stormy and doesn't allow her to say anything. At this point in the show, they're both talking. You can't even hear what they're saying. I had to turn on my captions and even figure out what are they talking about because you couldn't hear one over the other. I just could pick out certain words and certain sentences and kind of piece it together. It's terrible. And so Stormy, once she's able to talk, she says, "I can't believe that you're saying this." She said, we're all Black entrepreneurs up here. And she said, and everybody doesn't have the resources or the mentors to guide them on how to, you know, navigate this venture that they're in. And she said, and for you to sit up here and say that about another Black entrepreneur is pretty much sad. And I understood where Stormy was coming from because she was attacking her. There's so many things that I'm sure Stormy can say about them. They're the ones that have allegedly lawsuits pending. They're the ones allegedly have been on the blogs about fraudulent things, allegedly. So Stormy carried it cute. I have to say that. And even she allowed uh Tisha to get away with saying certain things, even though she didn't have a right to say anything about Stormy. She's just mad with Stormy because they know they're going to touch on that Canvas Beauty thing that she's messed up on her daughter's site. Anyway, um, she let her know she was giving her grace, and I think what's his name, Carlos, basically asked her about what did she feel it needed to be addressed about the whole Canvas Beauty thing. And of course, Stormy was still pissed about, she made a comment because, Stormy was sitting there, somehow she's coming at me like she's in practice this in the car. She in practice in the car or whatever. And she was like, Tisha, if you, she says, I think she said she make $1 million a month or something like that. I don't know what she said, something crazy. And she said, when you start making the same amount of money that I'm making a month, then you come see me. She said, you want to be like me. And then she must have been talking to Courtney on the side, talking about she didn't practice that stuff in the car. And Tisha heard her and was like, oh, shut up and go pop some pills. Because that's what you do. Well, wait a minute. Where did it come from? That came from like out of the blue. Even Marcel had this like, wait a minute, now you're taking it too far. She looked at Marcel and was like, oh, okay. Because clearly you went off script, Tisha. That wasn't even called for. And again, Stormy was saying, I'm giving you grace. It's so much stuff they could have said about their business acumen in this one 15-minute segment, but they didn't. Stormy still kept it cute. She got on her about coming at her like that, but she didn't say what she knows, because I'm sure she knows. A lot of the bloggers know, right? Anywho, um, when Carlos asked Stormy how she felt about what needed to be addressed about the um Canvas Beauty ordeal, Stormy didn't want to talk about that anymore. She was still butthurt about the comment that she made earlier. So Tisha turned her head as if to say, I'm not listening to you. She looked straight at, I don't know who she's looking at. I guess she's looking at Carlos or whatever. She said, she said, can you mind if I answer the question? And Carla says, well, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't even mind. So she goes into about how she has this web designer and how she called him up and he corrected it and her thing was like, okay, and it wasn't her fault. And Carlos stops her and he says, I agree with you 1,000% because that web designer should have put something on his page and blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking to myself, no, that's not how that works. Granted, it may have, if you gave him the information that he needed to update it to Mila and Macy and their information to be put on the return policy, that's one thing. We don't know. She claimed she didn't do this. So I'm assuming the instructions were given. Like she had to, somebody copied and paste it from Canvas Beauty. That is clearly is not a boilerplate because boilerplates are generic. They don't have company names unless it's a fictitious one, ABC company, something like that, in a boilerplate, right? So she went through this whole song and dance about how, she had them corrected. And then Carlos is like coming back at her saying, yeah, you should have that web designer, put on his page, and have like the web designer was supposed to own that. That's not the web. And I'm with Stormy. When things happen, mistakes happen, you as the owner have to own that and you have to sit in it. And I agree wholeheartedly with Stormy. And she was getting ready to say, that was not his fault. Marceau says it was a boilerplate that he used. As soon as he said that, Carlos says, I need to pivot. Really, Carlos? You gonna leave it at that? Because that was some bull crap. So they pivot to these two and their little dumb storyline about Kimmy being her sex drive not being up to par because of the drugs that she was taking for her treatment. And they go into the whole song and dance about how the people in the blogs think he was SA-ing her, and and he was just being ignorant. And they ran like a little montage of videos of him out there talking reckless on the Carlos interview, even on a segment of Love and Marriage Huntsville, how he talked about her not having, excuse me, enough hair to blow in the wind. I mean, he was really reckless. And then they talk about how she was faking having, orgasms and things of that nature. And he thought that was the worst thing in the world, like it was wrong. But Carlos made a point. Most women do that. And I have to say, yes, we do. And maybe if we stopped and was honest, I mean, not saying that women don't enjoy sex, because you don't always have to have an orgasm to enjoy sex, right? So I think what they are missing on this conversation is that women can enjoy sex, but they don't always have an orgasm, right? And I feel like a lot of cheating, I'm not going to stay long on this little topic because this is crazy, but I feel like if we decided to stop trying to build up men's egos, a lot of cheating would stop because they would be too afraid or intimidated, mind you, to be with other women if they didn't think they were laying it down. Now, when women don't tell you that you're not laying it down, you feel like you can conquer the world. That's me, my opinion, me speaking. And I think give men a false sense that they really doing something out here. And in this instance, and I'm looking now, Maurice admitted to being 45 on here, and I feel like that's old enough to know that you ain't really putting it down, but they act so much younger than what they are. And I know he's older than Marcel. So I don't know how much age difference there is there, but they're both don't have a clue. And when they were talking about Kimmy faking her orgasms, here go Marceau mumbling under his breath to Tisha talking about, well, if you faking, don't admit to it now. I don't want to hear it. Like, what? Grow up. please grow up. And she just giving him this snarl look. So this was crazy. But then Carlos asked Melody, did she fake her orgasms, or she never had, was it true that she never had an orgasm the whole time she was with with Martell? And she said, yes, that was true. And of course, his immature butt goes off and is like, that's not true. That's cap. That's not true. Anybody I'm dealing with, I know they are satisfied and blah, blah, blah. I mean, he had like a pure butt. A pure butt. You hear me? Um, he was standing up talking about, because he was like, well, what is it about Martell's stuff that wasn't satisfying? And Melody kept it cute as well, because he ain't gonna say, well, I know I got a curve and a hook. Really? Like, dude, like, some of that might not be normal. You might want to go get it checked if you got a curve and a hook, because that means something wrong, right? Anywho. Anyway, I know I'm not gonna go there with Martell, because that was just an ignorant comment to make. But Melody kept it cute, and her thing was, with this ups and downs that occur in relationships. One minute he's lovey-dovey to you, then the next minute he's treating you like trash. Your body's not gonna react, so you're not gonna because you still got whatever he said that was negative on your mind, even though you might be a couple days past it, it's still there. So your body's not gonna react the same, even if you do still love the man. You know what I mean? And I got that, and it's unfortunate that they didn't, but. Martell, I know she's lying. She's not. Martell, grow up. He's the worst. Anyway, they break for lunch. And in the back, Marceau wants to be the voice of reason, right? And he's telling Tish, Tisha, I keep calling her Tish, I don't know what her name is. She's telling Letitia that she needs to not, I guess, be so ratchet on stage. She needs to hold her composure. She's a businesswoman. And her thing was, I can still be a businesswoman. She said, but I'm tired of people coming for me. She said, I've been good for 3 years, for all these years, or however many years. And I'm tired of people coming for me. She said, you'll never say nothing about nobody coming for me, but I got to be the one. He was like, how many times have people got to come? She was like, how many times people got to come at you for you? He was like, I don't care what it is. It could be 1,000,000 times. He said, you are a businesswoman. She was like, well, we're going to have to agree to disagree. She wasn't feeling that. And I get it to a degree, Tisha, but you were wrong to make the comment towards Stormy about the pill popping. I don't see you for that. However, if you felt like you needed to come at her before she was going to say something slanderous against you, then do what you do. She just wasn't prepared. I don't like it, but she just wasn't prepared. And I have to say, she still kept it cute. And that's when Tisha was like, I don't agree, because they were all having lunch. They're in the back. So, of course, Stormy's talking to her husband, Courtney, and they are like tripped out how aggressive Tisha was being. And Courtney was like, I never even heard her talk before. He said, it's real funny. He was like, she talked. She was like, yeah. She's like, I can't believe it. She said, I was giving her grace. She said, but now I'm gonna give her hell. And I am for it, Stormy. Give it back to her, because she rehearsed that long. She just rehearsed to get this off her chest. But whatever you got, bring it. Bring it. He was sitting back laughing. He was like, I ain't never heard her speak. Then he visits Martell, and he's like down in the dumps talking about, here he was, thought he was doing something, thought he was putting it down. And He wasn't. But most men need to get a clue because that's indeed the case. Like, y'all ain't putting it down like that. Not saying that nobody don't enjoy you, doesn't enjoy your company, but as if you know how things are, women ain't having orgasms. Let me say organisms, orgasms every time they lay down with you. It ain't. I mean, if you have somebody that gives you one every time you lay down, keep them because that's a rarity. Trust and believe. And look at him. Ugh. Talking about, I know she's lying. I know she's lying. Man. He makes me sick. I'm just gonna go past this slide. And then Melody's in there. She said, how he gonna feel what I feel in my body? How he gonna tell me that I'm not telling the truth about not being satisfied? I agree with Melody. She may not have. I'm not saying like again, and here we are again. I'm not saying she didn't enjoy having sex with him, but it didn't take her there. Men having an orgasm each and every time, mostly. When the bed is wet, as they said, you know he had an orgasm, right? Anyway, they all come back to the stage and they're back on the stage, and it's just the ladies and the big B. That was his name that Carlos called him. And Carlos thought it was the funniest thing. And was slapping him 5. He thought it was, I mean, he was really, really feeling this. Anyway, so Carlos asked Marceau how he felt about Stormy calling him a B. And he said that initially it bothered him. However, he realizes after she explained that that's what they do in her culture. Now, I have to say, I think Marceau is funny. He can be a funny dude at times. He can be annoying at other times. I don't care for how he treats Tisha all the time, but I think he is hilarious. And Stormy did that to herself because she basically said, instead of, and I think it was how she said it, because I mean, her wording was totally off. I think if she had said that I'm used to, um, people talking to each other like that, because I know some people that, within love, they may say, be da 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 da. It's not flattering by all means, but if you're in a conversation with just your girls, it's not it's not taken as a derogatory statement. You know what I mean? So I get it. Maybe it shouldn't be done. Maybe, if you have some class about yourself, you wouldn't do it, but it's not that serious to me. I don't really do it, but it's been done to me, and I don't take offense to it because it's the context in which it comes towards me. So, I'm there. I understand what Stormy was trying to say, but it didn't come out that way. And Marceau is having a ball with it. So Carlos asked Stormy, do you call all men bees? And her thing was like, not if they're not acting like one. And she breaks it down. She basically says, he pokes and he does all this stuff to get more camera time. And he said most men don't move like that. And, most men have more integrity and he don't. So if that's how he moved, then he's a B. Okay. So Tisha is asked the question, well, how did you no, people think that, they don't like the fact that you have allowed people to call him bees. And she said, I don't allow Stormy to say anything. She said she's a grown woman. She said she just seems real comfortable with calling another man a bee. He said, makes me think about what's going on in her household. She said, I feel sorry for Courtney. She said, Courtney, if you need help, blink twice. I said, oh my gosh, what is going on here? Tisha, what's up? I'm like, okay. So Stormy comes back and basically says, well, we've been feeling sorry for you. But she didn't go into detail. She just left it at that. Right? She goes in and just basically says, why she felt like Marceau acts like a bee. So then Carlos asks, is he concerned about Tisha, you know, being more successful than him, being a boss? And he was like, this is my teammate, and in the realm of what we do, real estate, construction, that type of thing, that's what we do. She said, but if she comes to me and says she wants to do something else that's not related to what we do, he has a problem with that. And then they go into all this other stuff about, her being, I think Carlos asked him, were you worried about her being independent or a strong lady or a strong businesswoman like Melody? Because they talk about how he kind of like downplays other women businesses, and he was telling everybody that oh, Melody does sell t-shirts. Well, we know that Melody doesn't just sell t-shirts. She sells t-shirts, but she sells other things too. He sells t-shirts, but it has a sports bar, Black, right? And he did have Black in a bottle. What was it? Was it champagne? I think. But I haven't heard any more about that. But I mean, he did have that, right? But along with that, he had t-shirts. So I didn't understand why he even made the comment. But they had talked about Tisha talking about maybe going home and being her stay-at-home mom again. And Melanie was like, wait a minute, what? What do you mean? And Marceau really would like for her to come back home and just take care of the kids. His thing was, you don't have time to, cook breakfast and, be involved in the day-to-day of your children. And you can't do that and also be booked and busy. Well, Melanie ran it down. And she says, I fly all over the world. I go to fashion shows. I do events. I have speaking engagements. And I still have time to go to every play. I've been the parent mom in the classroom. She said, I go to PTA meetings. She got to go to Thanksgiving or whatever event that they have. And she said, don't tell me, you're not going to sit here in my face and tell me that it can't be done because we can do it all. Don't do it. And he just looked at her like, okay. She ran it down. And then Kiki joins the stage. And this is another thing that, I don't know what's going on with Tisha, but, she comes out and, Carlos will say, you look good in purple. You looking like Tisha. And she was like, I look like myself, or whatever. She could never, just acting real crazy. She said, well, that's a compliment. She said, I give you that. She said, I got a touch of Tisha in there. They look alike to me. I see it. The genes are really strong on this side. But long story short, he wanted to know why she broke her pact about talking about Tisha's marriage. And she said she didn't. She didn't break her pact. Tisha came to her and said something about what was going on behind the scenes. Somebody said something off camera and they blurped out the person's name. I think it's one of the makeup artists, right? And Tisha never said that she didn't do that. Tisha was upset about how it sounded on the phone, because I think the recording did come out. I don't remember. I don't think I listened to all of it, but I do remember when it came out. And she said, um, what's her name? Um, Kiki, her voice, she didn't sound like somebody that, I guess when she was talking to the young man on the phone that was calling himself telling on Marceau, didn't sound like she was a concerned cousin. It was more like she was trying to get gossip, I guess, so to speak. But my thing is, that wasn't the point. You went to her. She wouldn't have known anything about it unless you had gone to her, Tisha. Again, I want to see how they pick it up next week in part 2, but Kiki wouldn't have known anything about any ordeal had you not brought it to her. And then she shared it with Melody, and Carlos was like, well, why'd you share it with Melody? Well, she said, because Melody asked where we were as far as our relationship was. She understood that we had gone through a spout, a spout, and she let her know that I think, she might be mad with me. And she broke it down like why she was mad. But she never denied not going to Kiki with the story. Did anybody catch that? Or was it me? Like, I feel like this. I feel like all of them, and when I say all of them, I'm talking about Marcel, Martel, Marcel, Marceau, Martel, and Maurice. I feel like, excuse me, they all, in my opinion, that they're all out there doing the same thing. Martel just got caught up. He picked somebody too young, first and foremost, with no class, no couth. He ain't got no class, no couth. And that whole thing went totally left. Where the other two may have dibbled and dabbled. And maybe Marcel may have had someone that was a little older, but I feel like what they deal with people that have that could potentially lose out too. If you're going to do something, you pick someone that has something to lose. That's the old adage of running around that I've been told. If you want to do it successfully. But anything done in the dark is going to come to light. So y'all be careful out there. But my point being is that she tried to deflect here as well. Because instead of saying, yeah, I did go to her to see if she could find out some truth about it, she immediately turns on her and says, well, she cheats on him, she cheats on her husband, and he cheats on her. And a matter of fact, she paid for him to go out with whoever when they first started dating. Now, who's the dummy? Really, Tisha? Really? She never said, and I can honestly say she is not in denial about it, because I remember she distinctly said when at the finale, when they came back from the horseback riding and they were talking to the couple counselor, I think I remember her saying, because they were talking about the relationship between Kiki and Tisha then, and how she came on the trip to apologize and that sort of thing. But when Mel got in her face, because I remember that Mel was trying to calm her down and let her see what the counselor was saying, she said, yeah, I have a problem with my husband too, him too. I remember her saying that. She is not in denial about her husband. And I think that was the point she was trying to get across to you. She ain't in denial about what's going on in their relationship. You sat up there and said, for 14, 15, 16, 17 years, I've never caught him cheating. You didn't say he never cheated. You didn't say you didn't suspect him from not cheating. You just said, I never caught him cheating. I catch everything. We want to be, you know, yeah. Tisha, let it go. Anyway, next week, I think Nell and what's his name? Chris join the crew. And Martell and Melody talk about, some of their legal stuff. It looks like Martell walks off with his hand flipped up. I don't know what kind of stuff is going on next weekend, but I'm going to be tuning in. And meet me in the comments. Tell me what you think. Tell me, do y'all think, was he put in a closet? Because I think he was put in a closet. Martell, that was. He's in the alarm closet with the sprinkler valve. Yeah, that's what you get. Anyway, y'all take care, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for stopping by.